BEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You have found us. Thank you for making us part of your day. 585-866-4326. That's the number to give us a call. 95.7 FM, AM 950. We're also streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. We're on YouTube and on Twitch. And if you'd like to hit us up, we're on all social media. The one we keep tabs on, our X account at WGR Rochester from the High Fall Studios, where it's a little cloudy out today, but that's fine. Here to talk some Bills football. The show today, boy, this is going to be interesting, will it not? We'll get the insight of Dan Fates, 13 Wham Buffalo Plus, who is out in Cleveland. Yeah, there is a final cutdown that will be less than a week from today. We have the final preseason game for the Buffalo Bills coming up Thursday against Pittsburgh. We do have this story we should talk about. Also today on the show, and I'm calling an audible. The audible is this. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're on 4 to 6 now here. My name's Gene Battaglia, our fine producer, Tim Schneider. And every day Tim gets kind of a minute to give his take. Tim, I'm going to give you more rope today because of all the people in the sports world today that have a right to vent and bitch and just say what is going on. That would be Cleveland Brown fan, and that's who you are. You're a Cleveland Brown fan. So I haven't talked to you about the news surrounding Cleveland. I thought it was pretty clear. Yep, that quarterback, not very good that you're paying all that money to. And then, after the game, there he is saying some things. I'm like, just make the little note. Save that piece of audio from Deshaun Watson. This is making things worse for him. You're kidding, right? He's the starting quarterback in Jacksonville. You can tell my thoughts on that. We'll get your thoughts here in a little bit. Again, 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. Good Smoke, BBQ.com. The table is set. Let me make this clear. If a 2-year-old dies, right, that's horrific. It's a terrible accident. You say, hey, I can't even imagine. No, you do imagine, actually. And then you stop because you can't handle imagining what that would be like, having to deal not just for yourself, but all for your loved ones around you. It just will never be right. Josh Allen said it exactly right. There's nothing this team can do right now other than just to say, Ed, we love you. If this accident happens and the authorities don't mention the name, well, then it's the family's place to tell you first. And authorities, by not mentioning the name, the beat guys on the beat for the Buffalo Bills didn't mention anything here. It's just being a decent human being. But rather than get into a big discussion here about big journalism and what we should go with, no, you're not going back to school here, folks. What we should know is this. And it makes you wonder, if we didn't know the Ed Oliver story, you as the fan, and I have people written, for what it's worth, I had no idea, did not know. And there's been some reports that not every Buffalo Bill on the team actually knew. But I'm not saying I had any right to know, and you, the fan, don't have any right to know. That's Ed Oliver's story to tell you. But if they can hide that, the NFL, or just make it kind of not be discussed, does it make you wonder, what stories are out there that don't see the light of day in a league where it's not millions, it's billions, and everyone has an agenda, and careers are short, and lifestyles are wild, and right now, the NFL is crazier than it's ever been. You want an example here? It's fun when we talk about the salacious stuff. Oh, my gosh, we clutch our pearls. How could an NFL beat reporter sleep with a head coach? This is terrible. And because that doesn't even compare to a tragedy, it's just stupidity, in my opinion, well, then we dig in. And we want to just blow that up a little bit, right? Salacious stuff is one thing. The Ed Oliver story is a tragedy, plain and simple. The NFL can make stories disappear. They can. And one reason for that is there's a quid pro quo nature that we all have to abide on, right? I don't want to get sued. I've told you, I've heard a couple doozies, but you know what? It's not worth it. It's not my place. What things don't we know about? Well, I'll start. I mean, if we're just going to wonder, what really happened between Diggs and McDermott that June minicamp? What really happened the end of that season when the Bills lost to the Bengals? Right. And this is just like one franchise. Every franchise has things like this. Oh, right on cue. Let's welcome in an NFL owner getting busted for prostitution. If you haven't heard, 49er owner Jed York today. Well, it wasn't today, but we learned about this today because it's one thing to hear and read about this. It's another thing to see. Here's an NFL head coach in the orange jumpsuit, the mugshot. It's not even a mugshot. It's like they've already booked him and gave him his gear. We're taking away your clothes. We're going to, like, for prostitution? You know, you could crack jokes here because, you know, like, okay, no, we can't say orange is the new black for the 49ers because technically that's not their color. Maybe orange is the new 49er red and gold we can joke about. Like, that is embarrassing for that organization, and even the NFL can't stop everything. There's going to be a puck that's going to get them by them once in a while. And look, bringing it back to Ed Oliver. Again, the story is a tragedy, a horrific tragedy, plain and simple. By the way, we should mention this too. The Harris County Sheriff's Department today, when reached by TMZ and others, said case is closed. So anything that, I have to clean up my language here, anything that S-stir, because that's what Tony Farmer's doing, right? He's not a finger quote journalist. He's not a reporter. He's digging and he's stirring things to fit his agenda. And so whatever Tony Farmer was insinuating about this is simply not true. And also, too, like, just if a 2-year-old passes in an accident, you would want the authorities just coming and asking, hey, what happened? That's just simple protocol. 585-866-4326. If there are angles here, or if you just want to talk about this, because you'll have to move on. And now, as best you can, now from today, now the Bills practice today. It's an odd week. I hate this, by the way. Like, it's one thing to, play a short week in the regular season. Do you really need the short week in the preseason? But that's what we have. We've got the Bills and Steelers coming up on Thursday night. Not exactly Thursday Night Football, but it will be on the NFL Network. It'll be on Channel 8 locally as well. And Thursday night, Bills and Steelers, and getting ready for this game today, and was Ed Oliver. Now, Ed Oliver is actually injured, and we don't know the severity, but he's just not good enough to go. Ed Oliver today was seen just kind of, chatting up his teammates and, getting ready for the stretching. Seemed out to be out there participating. And it may feel a little off to talk about football in light of such a horrific tragedy. So I don't mean to offend anybody. But my job is to kind of forecast what might be coming up here. Like on Thursday night, if Ed Oliver is shown on the video board, what is the response going to be? It makes you actually want to go to a preseason game, right? You as the fan want to show your support for somebody. I personally have never known anyone to lose a child. Again, you say, "Oh, I can't imagine." Well, yeah, I can't fathom. That would be the word. I'm going to guess there's no Ed Oliver on the video board, because if Ed Oliver has come out through the NFL Network and asked for privacy, then sure as heck the Bills are going to give him privacy. And putting him up on the video board and saying, "Everybody get on your feet and applaud," that would not be privacy, right? It'd be the opposite. But what you as the fan can show support, I'm going to guess there's going to be signs in the stands. I'm going to guess that, hey, you're a Bills fan, and then you've got, not just one, a few jerseys that you could go to. Well, if 91 is in your collection, then you're wearing 91 coming up Thursday night. And you're wearing 91 here for the foreseeable future, right? And if you're going to the game, maybe you go to the team store across the street and you're purchasing the 91. I do think it's okay to bring up here on this show Ed Oliver and what this means for the Bills. Maybe just football, maybe football is the thing. Not that he needs, but the one place right now that is safe for him. Just put on the pads, go between the lines, put your hand down, line up next to Deion Walker, and go sack the quarterback. Go get that guy from Houston that's not really that good. Maybe, just maybe, this is Ed Oliver's year. Maybe his play will turn heads, and we'll all wonder, how is that even possible? And or maybe it goes the other way. And if it goes the other way, I'm not going to be waving my finger, nor will anybody else, right? It's hard to get a comp on this. And again, it's the story none of us ever wanted or asked for. And again, if you're just hopping in on the end of this, I don't want to make it a big journalism story, right? Everybody that knew did the right thing. I myself did not know. A lot of people did not know. And you, the Bills fan, should not feel shortchanged. Why? For not knowing. You don't want to know that. Let Ed Oliver tell this on his own timeline. He was not afforded that opportunity. But in this day and age, though, the NFL, and when it comes to PR, boy, if they want something not being known, quite often it's not being told. Except, I don't know, if you go to Ohio and you literally answer a want ad. I don't even know if it's called a want ad. There was an actual, advertising works, folks. Because for Jed York, well, I don't know the laws in Ohio, but I do know this, Tim, that not only in New York State is prostitution illegal, but even if it were, you couldn't advertise it on the radio or the newspaper, whatever it is. So there's multiple levels of stupidity here for Jed York. And I think you're wondering, like, why was the 49er owner in Ohio? Well, apparently he grew up in Youngstown, and that's close by. 5'8". Boy, this league moves so fast, doesn't it? It does. Because Friday we had a good talk with Spencer German, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, and you look at the Browns' new head coach, and every year you think of a team that you say, why not? Why can't it be the Cleveland Browns? If they only got competent quarterback play. I don't know anything. Because I'm watching that Saturday, and I had to laugh because Tasker, who's doing the color commentary, it's just an easy pass to the left flat. And Tasker just trying to be diplomatic about Deshaun Watson's play. Well, that's a pass you would like to be able to complete in this league. That was one of many bad plays, bad throws. And we'll get to the kicker here in a second. meaning, okay, bring you up to speed what happened today. But let's go back to Saturday. This is Deshaun Watson after going 5 of 13, throwing interception against guys that won't even be on the Bills here this time next week. This is Deshaun Watson saying, no, it's not me. It's you, the fans.
And I think the whole world knows it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think that's it's a disrespectful thing. So I'm going to keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. And, yeah, just move on.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. What does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
No, I don't regret anything in my life. You know, I think the Lord put me through situations for a reason, so I don't regret anything at all.
Oh my gosh, where do we begin with this? How about at the end? You don't regret anything.
Nothing. No.
Nothing. Like nothing at all. While he's doing that too, to begin, he is fiddling with the diamond earring, just twirling it around. I'm like, wow. For what it's worth, this is Deshaun Watson today, backtracking.
First off, I want to address the comments from Saturday after the game. You know, I think just, you know, human nature, just myself being very emotional, putting a lot of time these last 2 years to, you know, get back and, you know, spend time in this facility, in the city, meeting a lot of different people in the community. You know, I thought I was going to get, you know, a little different response. But, you know, I think, you know, my emotions got the best of me. My comments wasn't intending to go at any of the fans around in the city, because there's been a lot of great fans that have been supporting me. And I know the frustration this organization have put, you know, a lot of investment in coming, you know, to get me back in 22. And things haven't been going the right direction that we thought it was. You know, a lot of injuries, a lot of time off, and not putting the best football and my foot forward. So, you know, I understand the frustration. I understand everything that kind of goes into that. You know, and moving forward, I just want to focus on football, making sure that, you know, I'm putting the best product out there.
Last time Deshaun Watson took a snap as a winning quarterback, meaning my team has a record above 500. Yeah, it was a playoff win over the Buffalo Bills in Houston. Next year they go 4-12, and then poof, and then everything just goes sideways. Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you today. The Browns named him the starting quarterback for Week 1 over Shedeur Sanders. Not that Shedeur Sanders ain't great, but you know what? There's more ceiling there. Rather than me say anything, as for our viewers on YouTube and Twitch, we welcome in Terrible Time Timmy, which I don't even feel like calling her Terrible Takes here, because I imagine you've got some thoughts. Tim, the floor is yours.
Gene, I'm not really sure where to start without risking an FCC fine, because my language here is not safe for radio. So Deshaun Watson is not only a bad quarterback, but he is an even worse guy. He has he's absolutely a narcissist. He has no empathy or anything of substance to be a quality human being. He is completely brain dead in the sense that he has no clue on what's happening around him, or the behaviors the fans have are created from him, his performance, his actions. He stinks. And to come out and get barreled by guys that are the 90th player on the Buffalo Bills. They will not be in the NFL effective September 1st. They're done in a week. And he embarrassed himself and the Browns in a game in which he probably shouldn't have even been playing based on the performance that happened. If they were going to name him, if they named him the starter after that performance, they had that decision already made.
So why even play him?
Right.
There's nothing good can come out of this. Just give the whole game to Shedeur. Oh, and Shedeur, you couldn't pull it there. Give the second half to Dylan Gabriel. Like, that's where I'm thinking this is ownership.
The Browns have been completely inept for, 26 years since they came back. They've been a team, again, since 1999, and they have done absolutely freaking nothing the entirety of their redeemed franchise. It's so irritating that I wore a Buffalo Bills hat yesterday, Gene.
What? No.
I did.
Are you converting?
I don't know, but I just want the season to be over already. We have not played an actual game.
Dude, it's like you shouldn't put yourself. You don't have to be a masochist.
No, I don't. And
you don't have to be. You can. All right. You know what? How about just come over for 1 year? Because this year is it doesn't make you less of a Browns fan if you say I'm not rooting for this guy.
Yeah, I was one of the people that I wasn't at the stadium, but when he went down with that Achilles injury, I was very pleased. I was hoping that was the end of it, and the fact that his contract is what it is the only reason he's here. Let him rot. Put him as the fourth quarterback behind the rookie Taylor Green even, or cut them all. Just cut them all and restart.
Well, I that's why after that press conference on Saturday, the talk in the NFL, it wasn't – we had already moved on from Matt Oliver. It was like, whoa, listen to this. And then you match it up with what your eyes saw. And my eyes saw a guy at quarterback that if he was just Joe Watson would be playing not in the NFL. There's no reason Deshaun Watson should be on a roster other than you signed him to this stupid contract. So most businesses – would not throw good money after bad, and I understand you still owe them after the money, but you're wasting time. You're wasting time as a Browns organization, giving this guy one extra snap. Give the whole year to Sanders, and then if he flops, so be it. 585-866-4326. We've got Dan Fates, 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus. He will be joining us. Boy, yeah, we haven't even discussed like the checklist. Like things we're actually watching for. Hey, the quarterbacks, they seem to be fine. Tyler Bass. Could the Bills be moving on from Cedric Van Granger? Got a lot of thoughts we can hit up Dan with. Let's sneak in one call here. 585-866-4326 is the number. As we have Brad in Rochester. Hey, Brad.
Hey. I think Todd Monken is playing Watson only to show the NFL, guess what? This guy's awful. We're benching him. And then you can play Shador and Gabriel the rest of the year, somehow get out of that contract, which whoever got him signed for that should be fired. The GM, the whole front office, everybody should be fired. Or whoever said, hey, this is a great idea, give him $230 million guaranteed. Whoever it is needs to be fired. That should have been done 5-6 years ago.
Well, Brad, here's the kicker. Does the owner fire himself? Because that's the story. Like it was down between the Saints and the Falcons, and all of a sudden Haslam steps in and he says, "Give it all to him, guaranteed." Like what?
Oh my God! What?
Yeah.
No one in their right mind.
Yeah.
No one in their right minds. And know what? You're going to be stunting so many players by playing him, but you're going to have to show the NFL that he has no arm, he can't play, and suddenly when he's riding the pine, not even dressing, they can hopefully possibly get out of that contract and accept, whatever it is, the Tua amount of, cap debt. But you've got to do that in order to say, listen, this guy can't play.
Yeah, Brad, thank you for the call. I think we're already there, right? Like if the Browns did what most of us thought, Saturday night, Sunday, today, whenever it is, hey, we're moving on. What would the fan base be like? Yay! And you could have sucked this year and you would have enjoyed it. And also, here's the litmus test. In a league that is starved for quarterback play, does Deshaun Watson ever get another job in this league?
No.
No, he doesn't.
He's only on the roster. He's only in the league because of the contract, and that's why I'm on board. Like, give him a couple starts. Let him flame out and prove that he's actually bad, even though we already know that. And then let him rot. Do not play him for more than a month or two of the year. They're going to be bad no matter who the quarterback is. And if Shador somehow is actually decent, maybe there's something there. But if you can't even beat Deshaun Watson, who hasn't done a damn thing in this league for 8 years, then he's not good either.
Dan Fates 13 Wham joins us next. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
Rochester.
Start your day with Jeremy and Joe. Finish it with Gene Battaglia in the Sports Bar on your drive home. Bills, Sabres, and Amerks coverage all day on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Final week of the preseason in the NFL, and certainly for the Buffalo Bills, Thursday night taking on the Steelers. Today, defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard says this week is tough.
The hardest week in the NFL, right here. Your goal as a coach is like how many of these players make it on a roster. You want to get the best grouping and the best mix for your current team, but everyone else you're pulling like crazy for to just put something on tape that somebody's going to take a chance on.
Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus and 13 Wham joining us next. Rochester Red Wings, they took 6 of 7 on the road in Omaha. The Wings tied for first place in the International League. They're back at it tomorrow night at home against Buffalo. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Today, get 2 rounds for the price of 1 with card. One of the best courses in our area, Wildwood Country Club. But this is another great deal. Log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Back from Cleveland. He's got an appearance coming up Wednesday night. We'll tell you about that. Dan Fates, 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus joining us. And, Dan, this is the time of year we all get excited for football and everything's great. It just feels like there still is just such a somber tone. I'm just going to ask you the question open-ended here. Your thoughts on Ed Oliver. Where does the story kind of go from here? Because, I mean, is it okay to talk football about this with Ed Oliver? Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's really tricky, Gene, trying to figure out how to navigate it. It's something I've never really had to experience as a reporter. And listen, I had pretty much known of this tragedy. A lot of us had on the beat for quite some time. It just wasn't our place to release that information. And it's not about clicks. This is about a tragedy and a father and losing a son. So I think that at some point we will be able to talk football with Ed because he's been around the team since the start of training camp. That's why it never really affected the team. Look, we cover the team and the football side of things. And Ed had been present and been participating. Obviously, right now he's injured. That's the reason why he's not practicing. But besides that, I think there will be a sense of normalcy to football. Obviously, Ed wanting to be around his teammates as well.
Yeah, and I thought, for Josh Allen, I thought he hit all the right notes speaking about this after that, hey, whatever I'm saying here, I can't make it right. But you know what? To the person that felt the need to put this out there, I had no place for that.
Yeah, and Joe Brady and Josh Allen both said, appreciated media that knew about this and knew and understood human decency. And, I don't really even give credit. We talked about it on the Buffalo Plus podcast after the Cleveland trip, just the fact of, I'm not going to give that person credit because they didn't have the decency to give Ed Oliver privacy. And so, a lot of us knew on the beat. We just knew it wasn't our time or place, and that if and when Ed is ever wanting to talk about it, then we can address it then. But until then, it's just a football matter with Ed and hoping that physically he can get back healthy enough to be on the field.
Yeah, and that's also part of this, too, is that we really don't know the extent of he was out there warming up today. And, some stories, Dan, I don't know what direction this is going to go. All right, you could say between the lines, if he feels safe on the field and this is the one place where I actually can focus, I mean, could he theoretically have his best year in the NFL? Or, I mean, I could see it going the other way, too. And it wouldn't surprise me, and quite honestly, I wouldn't fault him if this year just wasn't up to par.
Yeah, it's tough to try and navigate it because you think that he could have some freedom in this Jim Leonhard scheme, which we're still trying to understand and figure out as we go about this. But it's a delicate situation that you're just trying to handle as best you can for Ed, the person, and the Oliver family.
Things move quickly in this league, Dan. Saturday, all right, watching the second half, I'm like, boy, Deshaun Watson, this is it. He's terrible. wait, they named him the starter? Why? And then you have that press conference, which we played the sound of it earlier. That's an embarrassment for Deshaun. And granted, okay, yes, getting booed after you have an Achilles injury is not cool, but some of the other things. What is the logic here with Cleveland announcing that Watson is actually their starter week 1?
That dysfunctional teams make dysfunctional decisions. I do not understand any of the logic that is behind this. I thought Dan Orlovsky on ESPN today said it best. If I was a Browns fan, I just wouldn't show up to games. You have to draw, at some point, you have to draw the line in the sand of where you're going and how you're going to support your favorite team. And this one just seems like maybe the final straw, whether it's his comments or, and except that I've heard some reports out of Cleveland that he's been better than Shedeur has been at training camp, throughout the summer. But how much better to deal with this? I think that there has to be some morality. And look, they're the Browns. They actually somewhat have talent. And they may have just enough talent on that roster to go 6-11, which would be worse than going, 2-15. But they have to figure some stuff out, and I just don't see it with Deshaun Watson.
Dan, that game for like a lot of the questions going in. All right, let's see Kyle Allen. Oh, you know what? I think we're okay. Tyler Bass. All right, you know what? He made all his kicks. Backup running back. Backup. Like to me, it's like all right. There wasn't a lot to complain. What questions do you have about this roster heading into the last preseason game here?
Yeah, I still have some questions about the depth, especially defensively. Kyle Allen was nice because, I really try not to put any stock into what this preseason is. Honestly, for a lot of these guys, we've had Micah Hyde now. He's a part of the Buffalo Plus family. He hated playing in the preseason, didn't want to. And for some guys, this is everything to them. This is their Super Bowl. So I try not to evaluate too much on – I've heard people say, Joe Brady and this Bills offense are already clicking. Look at it. Calm down. Hang on. Or, this Jim Leonard defense. We're not even scheming things. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to break down the X's and O's, as I always say, about defenses or offenses. But I can tell you that the Bills pretty much ran the same 3 plays defensively, the same 3 coverages over and over. And the fact that Deshaun Watson couldn't move the ball down the field is more of an indictment on him than what I think this Bills defense could be. But to see Kyle Allen, who has really had a pretty tough summer, I know it's not easy when you're taking snaps after Josh Allen, but he hasn't looked good. But to see that performance and go, okay, yeah, he made some NFL caliber throws. That's good to know. Am I sitting there saying, oh, I think Kyle Allen could win the Bills a couple games if worst case scenario happens, which I won't say? No, I'm not there, but at least I can sit there and go, yeah, I don't think this Shane Buechele, Kyle Allen debate is still going on. It's Kyle Allen who will back up Josh Allen.
As we're all doing the exercise, Dan Fates, Buffalo Plus 13 Wham joining us. Who's going to make the final 53? The one I'm having trouble reading the tea leaves. It's actually the secondary, and to hear today Jim Leonard just kind of come to the defense of Geno Stone, because I'm thinking, all right, well, if they're happy with Hancock and Hamlin, but is Hamlin the guy out? Hancock has done all the right things. How would you? And then of course Kilgore, who has shown, but then he hasn't been available. I mean, that's very murky to me, Dan, who makes the roster at safety.
Yeah, I think it's kind of clear. Geno Stone just seems to be the odd man out. And look, I really like Jim Leonard. I think he sounds like a head coach when he gets behind a microphone at press conferences. But you do have to follow what they say and what they have invested. And I think the safeties will be Cole Bishop, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You like what you have possibly with Jalen Kilgore. Then you have DeMar Hamlin. And then you kind of have some other guys that can rotate back there. Obviously, Jordan Hancock has played, who maybe has had one of the biggest ascensions out of anybody defensively this year. So I think they're kind of set, and Geno Stone just kind of is the odd man out. And that's just kind of the way that it is. That's why when players get signed in the offseason and people go, well, how is this going to work out? If Geno Stone has to play, it's like, yeah, they'd like him to be a special teamer. I think I don't really know. Geno Stone, to me, Gene, as well as Dwayne Carter will be the most interesting ones that I will be watching. I haven't seen much out of Dwayne Carter. And look, hand up, we were filming and shooting our podcast late in the fourth quarter of the Cleveland game because we didn't really need to see anything. And I know he had a tackle, and I know he knocked down a pass. It's the fourth quarter of the second preseason game. I just don't have that much stock in it. He just feels like he's another guy that is fighting for a spot, and I would think that he's on the outside looking in after the Bills follow what they do, not what they say. They brought in Greg Gaines last week. I don't think that's as much about Fedarian Mathis's suspension. I think it's a sign of we need some depth, and I don't know if Dwayne Carter's that guy. He just hasn't stood out to me through much of training camp. And when I'm watching a preseason game, I'm not looking about technique or scheme or things like that, but I want to see you stand out and make plays. Like that's what I would like to see. When you watch a preseason game this summer, Jordan Hancock has been all over the field. You know, Kenai Walker has been all over the field. IGB makes plays. So I don't put a ton of stock into the fourth quarter for Dwayne Carter. Now, again, he's got an opportunity here on Thursday at home against the Steelers, but at some point it just may not work, the former third-round pick.
Did Walker beat out Toriano Pride at the Corey Couch? Who is corner 4 on this team right now, Dan?
Yeah, it's definitely been Kenai Walker. From early on in camp, maybe the second or third day, my friend Carl Jones from up in Buffalo pointed out, like, do you see this guy? Do you see number 41? 6'2", and corners that are his size shouldn't be able to move like he moves. And the interception, I know some people were like, oh, I think that's going to help him make the team. I think even without that pick, Kenai Walker was absolutely going to be on this team, and I think really he's fighting for playing time. IGB has shown flashes. He has done plenty of trash talking. He's had plenty of good reps. He's had plenty of bad reps. He's a rookie. But Kenai Walker is something that is different with the size and length and speed that he can play with. You don't risk the possibility of another team seeing a 6'2" corner that can run and tackle like you showed in Cleveland and have the instincts to have the interception against the Carolina Panthers. Teams are always looking for corners. They're always looking for corners in offensive line depth. So when I see that and what Kenai Walker has put out on tape and how he's performed this summer, I don't think there's any real question that Kenai Walker is going to make the team. I think he's fighting for some playing time.
Cedric Van Pran Granger, another player that was somebody that named out there in the second half. Is he on this roster? Could he be a trade candidate? And if so, I mean, what are you getting, a late-round pick swap at this point?
I have no idea what to make out of Cedric Van Pran Granger. Brandon Beane was asked about him at the start of training camp and talked again about his Georgia tape. Like, this is a guy that whenever he's gotten the opportunity or Connor McGovern has come out for a play or they've needed a fill-in center, they've moved other guys around. And he hasn't shown, at least at training camp, the ability to play either guard position. Alec Anderson has been versatile enough to play both tackle, both guards, and center. So there's a ton of other players that are versatile and play all along the line to make themselves valuable to the team. Van Pran Granger has been injured and then just hasn't played when there has felt like there's an opportunity for the backup center to go in. They put in the third center because he's more versatile, or they put in Alec Anderson, or throughout the years, Connor McGovern would swing over, like before he was obviously the center of the team. All of that just makes you wonder, like, what is this guy? I just don't know. And to hear about, well, he was on the Georgia team that won the national championship. Cool. There are a lot of college players that win national championships that just don't pan out. So he's a guy that could be a practice squad candidate just because there's not enough tape to see what he can really do. I'm just not that high on what he's brought or the value that he brings.
One more question for you on the roster. Final wide receiver on the roster. Is it Sherfield or McCole Hardman or someone else?
It's a great question because I don't know how much they trust Ray Davis at returning punts. So if they think that Ray can be that guy, I think that gives the edge to Sherfield for what he would bring special teams-wise. But if they're not sold on Ray Davis being the punt returner, I think they would go with Hardman to bring some extra juice to that aspect of the game. Now, there is always, I don't know if this Bills team has enough depth that you can just have a designated return guy, if you know what I'm talking about, Gene, where it's like, hey, we're good at all these positions. We've got our 4 corners that we're happy with. We're happy with Jordan Hancock. We're happy with D. Alford, and that we have the luxury of having just a return specialist in McCole Hardman, because I always think that you do have the designated punt catcher that you can always throw back there in Khalil Shakir. So I think they have to figure out what they're doing in that punt return before they figure out who's the final wide receiver. I think the edge is to Hardman, but I'm not sure.
Dan Fades, 13 Wham, Buffalo Plus, Thursday night. We're not expecting any starters, right? No, we're just, all right, just kind of get through this.
Yeah.
Is there a position on the team right now, because you're going to have this flood of players that are just going to hit the wire? Is there any area you could see Brandon Beam maybe dipping his toe in here and just picking up somebody at the back end?
Veteran corner. We actually talked to Jim Leonard about that today. He was asked, look, you have Christian Benford. You don't really know what you have in Max Harrison, who had a really bad practice today, had a defensive pass interference, got beat by Joshua Palmer, and then got beat again by DJ Moore. And then you have 2 rookies in IGB and Kenai Walker, who I'm sitting here saying I like. But if there's a veteran corner that can come in, like it used to be Levi Wallace or Dane Jackson or somebody along those caliber, I don't know how much, we've all kind of sat there at training camp going, when are they going to bring in the veteran? When are they going to call Trey White? And we asked Jim Leonard about that today, and he said, it's concerning. And the fact that your other starting safety, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, has played maybe 3 or 4 practices with Cole Bishop. So I have concerns at what I think this back end of the secondary is. And let's not forget, Gene, the whole point of Jim Leonard's defense is to put pressure on the quarterback, which also, as he addresses, stresses the back end in coverage. So if you have young guys that are inexperienced, I can see a corner coming in that has ties to Wisconsin or that has ties to the Denver Broncos. Somebody like that the Bills could bring in to just add some veteran depth to a very young and inexperienced cornerback room.
Well, Dan, Mike, and Jenna, you guys are actually going to be out and about Wednesday night. Tell everybody about that, Dan, what we can check out on Buffalo Plus and 13 Wham there this week.
Yeah, the Buffalo Plus Tour is going back on the road, where our first live podcast show of the year will be Wednesday at the Thirsty Turtle out in Victor. Meet and greet from 6 to 7, live podcast to follow. If you can't make it out to Victor for the Thirsty Turtle, head on over to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel.
Are you feeling confident about the Braves?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Gene, I've been honest. We talked at training camp. I've been very open and honest what I think about this Braves team. We're a very flawed team that played the best 2 months of baseball that they could have ever possibly played. But this is not a very good team, and I have massive concerns about the pitching staff being able to hit in clutch spots. So, yeah, Mike was the whole drive down was like, Phillies have won 7 in a row. Phillies are playing good ball. It's like, yeah, it's not a good – Braves are a good team.
Well, I would point to this. First time since 2017, the Mets actually won the season series from the Braves this year?
Oh, my – it is so funny how when the Mets are actually good, we smoke them. And when the Mets stink, we can't beat them. Like, it is textbook to I don't know, man. Your team's a mess anyway, so what are you talking – you don't even watch baseball.
I kind of been following along here the last 2 weeks because I'm an addict, Dan. I like probably the lockout would be good for me just so I can just kind of break away from this abusive relationship called New York Mets baseball.
Yeah, but you got that. You have your pitcher that celebrates strikeouts like he's a
leaguer. He's fun. Yeah, and the guy who has an 0-9 record now, and Senga, he's a new closer. Yeah. AJ Ewing, he should be in Double-A. Yeah, that's second biggest payroll in baseball. Yeah, that's it's not a return on investment, but at least we're not the Browns.
Yeah,
Dan,
catch a stray here.
Yeah, just right. Yeah, I know. You should catch a stray. You should convert, Tim. Dan, thank you as always, bud.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
We'll see you. Dan Fades, 13 Wham Buffalo Plus. It's Yeah, the corner thing, right? Because we really haven't seen it from Maxwell Hairston yet. We just haven't. And you like the two rookies, and they're rookies. Igbinosun and also Walker. Kanai Walker is, I think he's got the potential, but the ups and downs of a rookie corner. Yeah, there is a need for this team. And for Tre'Davious White, people say, well, he played corner in a different system. It wasn't man-to-man. You know what? Tre'Davious White, I think, could fit into any system, especially his corner 4. And at this point, I don't know like how many teams would call up a guy sitting, on his couch, theoretically, and say, hey, you want to come start for us? So I'm hoping Trey White gets back into this league, but that's going to be interesting for sure. Cutdown day, by the way, it's 6 p.m. Sunday, but what quite often happens is that the day following, or maybe even Saturday, you'll get things kind of trickling out that, hey, I'm hitting the wire, and then eventually that it'll come out. It would probably behoove the Bills to be ahead of that, let these guys kind of get a start if they're not making the team. 585-866-4326. Whew. Yeah, there's a lot of Bills stuff we haven't gotten to here because, well, you had Oliver discussion, and I appreciate everybody's viewpoints on this. We'll get to some of your reaction on X as well. If you have any thoughts, you're welcome to give us a call at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
WROC-AM, WBEE, HD2 Rochester, and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
Almost there, Bills fans. It's the final week of the preseason. Then we're on to the real season. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonard says, though, there is one area that needs work.
It's still concerning to me, just the whole secondary, because it's been limited snaps with everybody. Cole's missed time, CJ's missed time, Max has been out for a lot. So it's more just how they gel and how they communicate, and continuing to build up reps here from now until Houston.
Ed Oliver was at the Bills practice facility today, however, not practicing. Bills Steelers coming up Thursday night at 7. Red Wings took 6 of 7 from Omaha. Wings are tied for first in the International League. They're back at home tomorrow night against Buffalo. Sports brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Wildwood Country Club. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Stay for a while, you're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, it's sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2. Thank you for making us part of your day on your ride home. Gene Battaglia with you. Tim Schneider, our fine producer. Francesco filling in for the Dandalorian. The Dandalorian has the best vacation plan here at the Highball Studios. He's going to be back Thursday, and he's going to be like, whoa, what did I miss? Like that would be a fun exercise.
What was show up 4 hours early.
Yeah, like what? Wait, the show is at 4 to 6. Good line there, Tim. You're always welcome to join us, whether that's by phone, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 585-866-4326. You can hit us up on our X account as one of our regulars. And by regular, I mean like he's at the bar, like right at the corner, kind of like Norm Chris in South Central Kentucky. Gene, I'm going to say I really appreciate the personal and pro integrity you and the other beat reporters demonstrate. I believe they knew about Ed's son and chose to do the right thing and let him talk about when he was ready. What a guy in San Francisco felt. The need just shows how low some people will stoop to just be first to report something that's not any of our business is beyond me. Sports journalism would be better off without, and I'm not even going to mention the guy's name because honestly, like that's a guy that had an agenda, but that's the world we live in. Right? Like, you're going to have people like this, whether it's X, TikTok, whatever. Everybody's got an agenda. And thank you, Chris. For the record, I did not know. You could have fooled me because there was Ed Oliver out there practicing day number 1. And being with the guys right now, maybe that's the best thing for him. And as I said before, like you could say, I can't imagine. No, you try, and then you realize, oh, this isn't for me. And Josh Allen hit everything, all the right notes, saying on in the post game, well, there's nothing you could do. You can't make this right. So Thursday night, Bill Steelers. Because Ed Oliver's asked for privacy. I don't expect Ed Oliver to take the post game podium. I don't expect the scoreboard to say, here's Ed Oliver, because if that were the case, my gosh, you'd have a thunderous ovation, not just from Bills fans, but from Steeler fans in attendance too. Like, you want to show this guy love. It's just the right thing to do. My question is this though: like, if it's just a reminder that when the NFL doesn't want you to know about things, you're not going to know about them. For example, do you really think there were guys on the Patriot beat that didn't know something about Vrabel and Rossini? There were some people, whether it was at The Athletic or ESPN, that, on that end. But in the football world, see, that's salacious. It's gossip. It's fast food, and we ate it up Because if you're hiding something from us and you're lying about it, that's why that story kind of exploded. That's at the opposite end. If two people are banging each other, what do we care? It's their business, right? This is something way different. This is a tragedy. And it's not just the NFL saying, no, we're not going to say anything. And Bills reporters and other reporters in the NFL, I would have to think the info guys knew about this too. Don't say anything. And to the point about the guy, see, the thing that got under my skin about this guy, that I don't even want to say broke it, but just put it out there, is that he was insinuating that there was something other than just a horrible tragedy when a 2-year-old drowned. Because the police came on scene and they said it was an investigation. Okay. Yeah, that'll happen every single time there's a death of a 2-year-old. Well, today, because sometimes these have to wait till the next business day, TMZ and everybody jumped on this. And indeed, there is nothing to see here, folks. It's a horrible tragedy, and this case was closed out by the Harris County Sheriff's Department. 585-866-4326. It's also, we're allowed to wonder what happens next in the story here. If I'm offending you by just saying, what does this mean from a football standpoint, I don't mean to, but Ed Oliver was out kind of stretching today, just a little bit. Now, he's not good enough to practice, and I can't tell you if this is serious or if they're nursing this along, whatever it is that's bothering him. We'll see. But as I'm wondering, like, how would Ed Oliver look next to Deion Walker? How is Ed Oliver going to respond to all this? If he has the worst season of his career, nobody's going to. I'm not going to be waving my finger. Nobody should. Like, it would be understandable that his head isn't in the right spot and his body isn't trained the way it should be. But what if it's the opposite? What if this is the only thing in my life right now I can control because everything else is a living nightmare, but when I'm on the field, I am on this side of the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to go sack C.J. Stroud. And we see the Ed Oliver that many of us have been hoping for, actually. You see flashes, but never did we ever say that's an all-pro in Ed Oliver. Never did we say, boy, my gosh, she's 15 sacks or whatever it would be. This is what I'm telling you. The answer to that is, I don't know. And you don't know either. And quite honestly, probably Ed doesn't know either. But I commend everybody just for backing off on that. Dan Fates joined us. He knew. Matt Perino put it out there. He knew. And it's not our story. If there's an accident, how many times does this happen? Here's the news tonight. I'm Don Elhard. Actually, I'm not on the air anymore, but 490, we had an accident today, and 2 people deceased. Okay. They don't tell you the names right away. And sometimes you never find out the names, right? So it's just one teeny small example. 585-866-4326. So I welcome your thoughts on Ed Oliver because, yeah, I don't know how to make it right. But if winning football brings a smile to his face and he continue to build on it and becomes this little, just for a few hours. Before we get to Tim and his head exploding, we should mention that the Red Wings, how weird is this going to be that the Red Wings have a shot to finish the season with the best record in AAA? 30 teams right now. They have the best record. And theoretically, they could miss the postseason. Just like in 1981 where you have the split season. The split season in baseball is stupid. Wings are back home tomorrow night against Buffalo. And I personally didn't think the Rochester Red Wings could actually kind of do this, go on this kind of run after coming so close in the first half. So, to me, Matthew LeCroy, we want to talk about this. Like, you don't see, like, AAA managers quite often go up to the majors. somebody's paying attention, Matthew LeCroy, get him a job in the major leagues for sure. It's a tricky topic at Oliver here, for sure. Oh, we got what else do we have today? We have the Browns naming Deshaun Watson starter. That's a joke. And we have an NFL owner literally getting arrested, and the mugshot is in an orange jumpsuit. Meredith is calling in from Webster. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm really sad about the Ed Oliver story. It should have never come out in a football context, but the only thing I think that should be said after we found out is everybody needs to protect the children. They drowned so fast. It's nobody's fault. It's so hard to prevent. And if anyone just stops for 10 seconds to say, oh my God, what a horrific reminder that we have to be more vigilant. How he plays football after this, I don't know. I pray for him and his family. Really, really sad situation.
That, Meredith, thank you. And that's an excellent point, is that, all right, what can we learn from this? You take your eye off the ball for how many seconds? See that? Is there anything good that can come out of this? No. But just as Meredith said, it's like you have little ones and they're around water, and it's understandable. You're a parent, I'm sure that there has been one instance, right, that, wait, where do they go? And then that just kind of wave of terror comes over you. And I remember that happening once, and they're like, oh, okay, we're fine here. Whether that's in an open park or wherever it is, parenting is, it's the greatest thing, and it is supremely challenging. So thank you, Meredith, for bringing that up. And again, just the human element in all this. And that's why here I'm talking about football today and talking about this in a football sense. I just hope that Oliver gets the help that he will need, that he will accept the help and for his family there. And to the person that felt the need to put this out there, I don't think you're getting very far in this industry. I'll just kind of put it that way. That if you think you're going to parlay this to being an NFL insider, we'll talk to Matt Perino tomorrow, because I don't want to today have the big journalism talk about this. But Matt actually teaches journalism course at UB, and he knew about this too. So again, it's something you can't fathom what kind of loss that is. And for Josh Allen just to say there's nothing we can say or do to make this right, other than just to love on him. Well, yeah. Boy, Josh, say what you want about Allen. He hits the right tone on a lot of things. That was certainly one of them. 585-866-4326. On a much lighter note and in a completely different direction, watching that game on Saturday, and in the second half, I'm like, really? They're putting Deshaun Watson out there? And there's a pass to the left flat. I don't even know who the Browns receiver is. Doesn't matter. He misses it, sails it like 10 yards over his head. Okay. There's another pass the other direction, again to the left flat. And the commentary from Steve Tasker is, well, in the NFL, that's a pass you would like to complete. It's a nice way of saying, what is he doing? 5 of 13, throwing into traffic, throwing behind receivers. Deshaun Watson was garbage for the Cleveland Browns. And coming after that game, I'm thinking, you know what? This is actually a good thing. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is anything either. But where are you going with Deshaun Watson in the end? What? He's going to lead you to a magical 7 or 8 wins if it all works out?
Hell. You're going to hell with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I don't need to play the apology, okay? Because the apology came today and was probably prepared for him. But this is, you want to hear, not an athlete. We're talking humans. It's the end of this where my head explodes. Deshaun Watson not accepting responsibility following a putrid game against the Bills.
And I think the whole world knows it has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think it's a disrespectful thing. So I'm going to keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. And, yeah, just move on.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. What does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
No, I don't regret anything in my life. You know, I think the Lord put me through situations for a reason, so I don't regret anything at all.
You don't regret anything at all. 27. What's the number 27? That's the number of lawsuits that you had to settle. And you didn't end up in jail, blah, 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 but you're paying out 27 times for conduct that is disgusting, allegedly. And
good guy Deshaun Watson strikes again.
it is just terrible. I don't regret anything. Let me remind you, or your selective memory, or bad guy. And the need for Cleveland, it is the recency bias? No, I could say this definitively. The worst contract on many levels in pro sports history. It just is. The amount of money, the results, lack thereof results, and the person you actually gave the money to. I couldn't believe it at the time, and it couldn't have gone any worse. But that being said, my gosh, like, you brought in the Lord, okay? So the Lord has a strange way of doing things, Deshaun. You are the starting quarterback week 1.
Gene, in a span of about 3 hours today, the Browns named Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback and had somebody transfer to LSU. That is what the state of the Cleveland Browns organization is right now.
It's like, well, right. That sounds like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, Tim. No, the backup tight end, and we discussed this last week, knew he was going to get cut, and he's taking an NIL check and actually going back to school after
It's embarrassing to be a fan of this team.
Right? All they had to do,
literally anything else.
Cut him.
I'm on board with them keeping him and just letting him rot. I don't know about cutting him because it's way too much dead money.
Who cares?
Well,
Who cares about dead money? You're not going in. Come to reality, Browns fans. You weren't going anywhere. For a hot minute when we talked to Spencer German, Rochester native, on Friday, host the Browns pregame show, I thought, why not? There's a team every year that gets hot, and how did you end up in the playoffs? Why not? Like, for the Browns. And even he was like, no. And what did he cite? He cited the quarterbacks. And like, it can't be that bad. Oh, yes, it is, because there's Deshaun Watson against guys who will not be on the Buffalo Bills next week. That's the kicker here. Like, you're throwing behind, you're throwing this, and then you play the victim card after you stunk it up, failed to prepare for that game, and you bring up the Achilles thing from last year. You are not a man.
Bad guy, bad game, gets rewarded with starting quarterback position in the final year of a fully guaranteed contract that paid him $230 million freaking dollars.
Okay, so you know what? For Haslam and for everybody else, you know what I wish? I wish he plays really well. I'm kidding. But what if he did? Like, what? You're going to pay him more money?
No, he's done.
Get him out of here. Whatever the cost is. Don't you want your fan base? Like, you're not going anywhere. It's just it's a lack of self-awareness by the organization, and certainly this guy. Can you play this again, Tim? Because if we did the take of the year, this is the anti-take of the year.
I think the whole world knows it has nothing to do about the performance.
Oh.
It's a little bit personal than that. So I think it's a disrespectful thing. So I'm going to keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally on how I feel about that. And, yeah, just move on.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Yes.
Last time I played on this field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. What does that have to do with anything about performance?
You stink.
When a person get hurt, especially for your own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
No, I don't regret anything in my life. You know, I think the Lord put me through situations for a reason, so I don't regret anything at all.
Total lack of self-awareness to the highest order.
And then the video, he's got a diamond earring and he's twirling it with his finger.
That diamond earring costs more than I make in a year.
No, it costs more than your net worth, Tim. All right, sorry, buddy.
That's fine.
I don't mean it, but
true.
But it's true. It's true. And you go back to the $230 million guaranteed. We took a call from Brad and said, no, the GM should be fired. That wasn't a GM decision. That was Jimmy Haslam on a bender or impulse or whatever it was, stepping way out of line in this league to just write the check. Never been done before, fully guaranteed. And it couldn't have gone any worse. By the way, you had Baker Mayfield. You had a quarterback that was doing national TV commercials. He led you to the playoffs 2 seasons before he got hurt. And what was it? You really thought this was an upgrade? Really?
And they sold their soul to do it. They gave up a ton of picks. They paid him an exorbitant amount of money. They gave up on a number 1 overall pick in doing so. And they've been a laughingstock ever since, other than the 2 months of Joe Flacco.
Well, it's like, at what point can you as a fan just mothball, just kind of like, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
I think I'm at it.
Yeah,
I'm not done with them, but I don't care about them. I don't care about this season. They're not gonna do well, so I don't even have to worry about it.
Could you, week 1, can you go play softball or do something else and not tune into Browns and Jaguars?
I don't know if I can go that far because there's other games around. I'll find something else to like. The game will be on, and I'll be paying attention to it. But I will be watching my fantasy team more. I think for the first time ever.
All right, so week 1. We'll be out at CMF. We'll be in Shiloh for Bills, Texans, Bill Gray's in Shiloh. Tap room. Great place to watch a game.
It's true. I've been there many times.
Would you come out and what? That might be a distraction because it will be on like one monitor and just being around Bills fans.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I mean,
I'll join you.
there is nothing at all that says you are married to this team. People get out of bad relationships all the time. Divorce is a big industry, Tim. I'm telling you, like, this is, you can't cheer for this guy.
No, I can't. He's
a horrible human being.
I remember sitting in the other studio when this trade happened with you, and I was bewildered, and it's only gotten worse.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the NFL can do, like we're talking about how they make stories go away. They can reshape images, right? Here's Ray Lewis in handcuffs the night after the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, fast forward a couple years, and Ray Lewis, we don't remember that picture that was on Sports Illustrated anymore. You think of him as this great leader. It's the NFL. They sports wash you. Just like, here you go. Here's your image, and you're good and you're wholesome, and maybe Ray Lewis found God. I don't know, but that didn't happen with Deshaun Watson. I thought for sure, like, hey, the 27 lawsuits that you had to settle, blah, 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 blah. I don't regret anything.
And that was ongoing during the trade, too.
Go to hell. That's all I had to say to Deshaun Watson.
Hell's not deep enough.
No, it's like, honestly, 585-866-4326 is the number. All right, on the other side, we have an NFL owner that's in jail, released from jail. Oh, it's a Monday that has all sorts of stories. You're always welcome to join us. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Rochester.
Yeah, you notice a rattle in your ducts or a rise in your heating and cooling bills? Well, if you do, give Belknap a ring. With 0% financing, the cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money with Belknap. Schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring at 716-688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring.
Bills cover.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
The final week of the preseason for the Bills, defensive coordinator Jim Leonard says this week is tough.
The hardest week in the NFL, right here. Your goal as a coach is like how many of these players make it on a roster. You want to get the best grouping and the best mix for your current team, but everyone else you're pulling like crazy for to just put something on tape that somebody's going to take a chance on.
Bills and Steelers coming up 7 o'clock on Thursday, and then the preseason over for Buffalo. Rochester Red Wings, so hot right now. Took 6 of 7 from Omaha. Wings are tied for first place in the 20-team International League. They're back home tomorrow night against Buffalo. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get 2 rounds for the price of 1 with card to one of the best courses in our area, Wildwood Country Club. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
You're always welcome to join us here in Happy Hour, 585-866-4326. Some other notes from the sports world, and sadly, I think this is going to become a trend here. Today, the Miami Marlins fired their entire pro scouting department. Well, how do you get ready? Oh, that's right. Maybe, just maybe, that's a sign that there won't be a next season. Like, what do we need scouts for? Why are we paying these guys if we don't think we're going to have baseball on time? Keeping an eye on that sort of stuff, like if teams are starting to already kind of cut back. And I think I'll just say this. I think the whole thing is way overblown if we have the team in the National League playing small market Milwaukee, playing the team in the American League, playing in small market Tampa, the Rays against the Brewers, and that could be your World Series. Tell me again why we need a salary cap. 585-866-4326. We did have a trade today in the NFL. Kayshon Boutte going from the Patriots to the Texans. Wow, that's funny. Like Jeremy White, others have predicted this right on spot because Nick Caserio, and hey, for whatever reason, Boutte was it was down on the depth chart for the Patriots. And you could say, oh, this isn't good because the Texans play the Bills week 1. And I'd say, you know what? It actually makes New England thinner at wide receiver. So I'm fine with this. I don't think C.J. Stroud is going to be the player that is going to defeat the Buffalo Bills by distributing the ball to Tank Dell and Kayshon Boutte and whoever. I do think if Houston's going to win that game, it's because the Bills' tackles get smoked like they did last year in that game in November, and you're coming around the corner. Like, you're going to need more from Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown keeping Josh Allen upright. 585-866-4326. 2 stories from the NFL, and time moves on here. We're very quickly in the NFL, where today, oh, gosh, you're kidding me. Deshaun Watson is now the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, at least in week 1. And then we have this story from Jed York. And here's my disclaimer. If you're driving with kids in the car and you don't want to hear some things that might be a little colorful, well, this is your warning. Jed York has this. This is according to court records obtained by ESPN. The 49ers owner in Columbiana? How do we say that? Columbiana. Thank you. Columbiana County, Ohio. Youngstown. He responds to an ad for prostitution on a website. And they negotiate a rate, and they agree on a location. And when Jed York shows up, the only thing that was missing was, what was the show on NBC? But like To Catch a Predator. Hey, well, have a seat here. Except, except that wasn't it. It was the authorities right away, and it was this big old trap that the 49er owner fell into for $140. Oh, by the way, where did they decide to meet? Some luxury hotel, some seedy hotel. No, it was a trailer park. And I Right. Like, none of this makes any sense. Somebody who has wealth beyond you or I could imagine is doing something like this. But then again, this is a league that Robert Kraft had the need to go way out of his way where he thought he could be incognito, and then he was part of a sting operation down there, too, in Florida. Who could forget that, right? And at the time, that was like you wanted to point the finger and go ha-ha at Robert Kraft, but then you pause and like, oh, I hope this doesn't involve human trafficking. I hope this was a sting, apparently, according to ESPN and others, that Jed York. Oh, but the story gets better. An NFL owner busted on $140 is brought in. He's arrested. He has to put on the orange jumpsuit and take the mugshot. I kid you not. Like, so, David Bowie got arrested in Rochester how many years ago? Like, There's a lot of things like Rochester trivia, and that's kind of a fun thing. Like, fun because David Bowie, he's no longer with us, and probably the charge he got charged with was kind of stupid too. But there he is, and you see at the bottom, Rochester, New York Police Department, and it's David Bowie. Well, this is the, again, just learn how to pronounce this. Columbiana County. Yeah, their court, and there was Jed York. I'm sorry. You can't have an NFL owner doing this. Like, if we're going to have a personal conduct policy for players, then shouldn't it be how many times? Double? 3 times? 10 times? Like, what should the punishment be for the NFL on the 49er owner? And I could hear your counter argument, too. Gene, it's prostitution. It's a victimless crime quite often. And I don't know that to be true or not. I will hear you that there are worse things in the world. See Deshaun Watson, okay? That allegedly. But what a bad look. And at the top of the show, I brought this up today. Like, how many people do you think in the NFL, how many stories in the NFL do you simply just not know about? Like, the Ed Oliver story was going to come out in time, as it should have been under Ed Oliver's timeline, right? When he was ready, that would have become known to us. But I'm just talking about from like a wider scope. Like, not tragic things. I'm talking about like the Diana Rossini stuff of the world. Like, where people know about this stuff, but you know what? We're the NFL. We're just going to kind of make this quietly go away. Like if somebody like wrote a book about the Bills and told you exactly what happened between Diggs and McDermott, you would buy that book in a second. And maybe that book will be written someday, but not right now. But the NFL is such a machine. They make stories go away, and I would think that every team in this league has something like this. But for an owner to get a mugshot today in an orange jumpsuit on a Monday too.
Monday news dump, yeah. For what it's worth, York filed for divorce back in May. I don't know if that is relevant to the story or not, but rough couple.
Yeah, rough couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just kind of do that from there. 585-866-4326 is the number. Got some final thoughts here on the Bills. We'll get to that coming up in just a bit. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
So much action, we couldn't fit it all in one.
WGR Rochester.
Raising the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
There are two sporting events that signal to me, hey, summer is ending. I hate saying that because I love summer, as I'm sure you do too. One, we have on our monitors right now, the Little League World Series, and that'll be wrapping up here soon enough. The other, getting going today, I'm like, what? U.S. Open, yeah. Today, qualifying rounds down in New York. And just wrapping up last night, in case you missed it, the warm-up for the U.S. Open, the Cincinnati Open. On the women's side, well, there was Jessica Pegula again in the final. And there she was losing in the final again. This time to Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff, 22 years old, defeating Jessica Pegula in straight sets. Pegula will enter the U.S. Open as the 3 seed. And I don't know if it'll ever happen for her.
No shot. I have a personal vendetta against her, but that's okay.
Why?
It cost me a lot of money, remember?
Oh, well, all right. Well, that's a you problem.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You should always be like, for the Western New Yorker, although it's kind of transient, I suppose, with Jessica Pegula. I mean, she identifies, I guess, Buffalo, or does she identify West Palm Beach? I'm not sure. But I'd like to see her kind of break through. She got to the final the 1 year against Sabalenka, and you realize, okay, there was a little bit of a flash there. Like, no, she's not as good as her competition. So maybe things break right this year. I, for one, I enjoy the U.S. Open, and I hope you do too. By the way, you know what else starts this weekend? Oh, week 0. We have North Carolina, TCU, and Ireland. Yes, degenerates unite. We will talk to PJ Glasser coming up this Thursday here in the Sports Bar as some college football games you normally wouldn't care about, but we will all be caring about because if you like a little action, yes, we are back here. And I don't understand why college football doesn't make every team play on week 0 and just take an extra bye, because we would all be enjoying that, will we not? To get a full slate, Labor Day weekend, college football will own. 585-866-4326. Going into that Bills-Browns game, just to revisit some of the question marks that I had. Question 1, backup quarterback Kyle Allen. Yeah, he's fine. I don't think the Bills need to go sign Jimmy Garoppolo or search the waiver wire or anything like that. Kyle Allen, to me, regardless of what he does against the Steelers coming up Thursday night, he's your backup quarterback. Tyler Bass. Look, for Tyler Bass, he's on a short leash this year. We know this. How many games would you think Tyler Bass bad games could he have this year in the regular season? I would say 1. One game where he
gets 2 strikes, you mean? One
yeah,
and cut?
Yeah, that's it. Because if he is not the kicker that you could just automatically pencil in from 50 yards plus, as he was at one point, I just need him to be money 50 yards and in. And if he's missing 50 yards and in, but again, this is all in theory. He made all his kicks this past week. He made 4 of the 5, so like 9 out of 10. You're doing just fine. But your mind wanders. Like, could you actually do better? Will there be – I'm reading how the Colts have 2 good kickers. All right, well, do the Bills get really brass and say, you know what, Tyler, we like you, but we like this guy better? It is the one position, as we learned last year, Matt Prater, come on down. You don't need any onboarding. Can you kick the ball? Great. There it is. So, to me, non-story, though. Right now, it's a non-story, but that could change at any point. Which player was playing in the second half that caught your attention? Well, we were joined by Dan Bates, Buffalo Plus 13 WM earlier. He said Dwayne Carter. That's a good one. Carter's job is in jeopardy. I'd also say Cedric Van Pran-Granger. He was somebody that you go to the end of last season, and you know Connor McGovern is a free agent, and you're thinking, all right, the Bills have the next guy up. And not only did they resign Connor McGovern, you brought in another guy, Cushenberry, and there's Van Pran-Granger playing in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. Ruh-roh. That can't be good. So that's one player I'm wondering, okay, is he on the team or not? I think the other one was Kenai Walker. Kenai Walker's on this team. He's corner 4. If there is any personnel department that's paying attention, if the Bills try to slip Quinai Walker through to the practice squad, they're not going to be successful. I mean, if Rashard Wildgoose could get picked off, that's going back a few years, and I like just throwing out that name, right, just to get you to chuckle. Well, then Quinai Walker, I think, would kind of also get picked off. And, look, he doesn't have to be active week 1, but it's traditionally been a position for the Bills that's been pretty thin. AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. We want to point out, like, oh, my gosh, the 4th down play, or why wasn't James Cook on the field? Hey, you know what? Christian Benfield wasn't on the field, and the Bills had to rely on Kyer Elam, and he was tripping over his own 2 feet. Like, he had 2 left feet there. So, yeah, it's a position that the Bills have been a little thin at, and to hear today Jim Leonhard talk about the possibility of bringing in a veteran at corner, Jim Leonhard certainly in that position, a little concerned about the secondary.
It's still concerning to me, just the whole secondary, because it's been limited snaps with everybody. Cole's missed time, CJ's missed time, Max has been out for a lot. So it's more just how they gel and how they communicate, and continuing to build up reps here from now until Houston.
Well, that was Jim Leonhard today. Joe Brady will speak tomorrow. And then that's it in terms of media availability until preseason game number 3. Yeah, I can wish away time. The preseason, adios. Let's get this over with. If you missed the show today, Dan Fates, 13-win Buffalo Plus, joined us in hour number 1. You can listen back to that. Francesco has everything up for you on bite-sized form, wherever you get your podcasts. Tomorrow on the show, Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard and the Shout podcast, will be joining us on behalf of the entire team here. Dan DeLorean will be back this week. And for Francesco, for Timmy Schneider, my name is Gene Battaglia. BetMGM tonight, coming your way next here on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. Have yourself a good night.